Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at theDove.us. Well, as you know, 2014 is an election year all over the country, and in the state of Oregon, our primary is May 20th coming up. And one of the most notable races going on is that there are 8 Republican candidates vying for the Republican nomination to run against sitting Senator, U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley in the state of Oregon. And one of those candidates is Mark Callahan. We had a chance to talk to him about his candidacy and why he's running. So join me now as we talk to Mark. Well, today we're interviewing one of the Republican candidates who hopes to be the winner of the Oregon primary for the Republican nomination to go up against sitting U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley. We are delighted to have with us today Mark Callahan, and I want to read something here off of his literature because this may just pretty much end the interview right here. He says he's pro-freedom, pro-U.S. Constitution, pro-limited government, pro-military, pro-free market, pro-life, begins at conception, pro-gun, strongly believes in the Second Amendment, pro-God, believes in religious freedom, and pro-family. Well, Mark, I'll just sign for you and move on. Why should we talk anymore? You pretty much nailed it all there.
I know what I stand for, and I'm really direct. I don't sugarcoat about it either. So. Oh,
that's great. Nice to have you with us today. Now, professionally, you're an IT consultant. What do you do?
I fix computers for a living. So basically what I do is I work for a consulting firm up and out of the Portland area, and they kind of farm me out to other companies in Oregon, between Salem and the Portland area, to do computer work. And this most recent position that I had is doing network administration work also up in the Portland area.
All right, good for you. So what made you decide to go after the U.S. Senate?
Well, it got to the point for me where I just had to get off the couch, stop watching TV, and complaining. I had to actually get out there and do something about what I was seeing happening to our country and our freedom. And I come home every night. I spend time with my daughters, and I look at my daughters and I look at their future. And to me, I gotta do what I can as a dad and a father to secure their freedom, to make sure that they have a future that's based upon freedom as our country was founded upon as a constitutional republic 238 years ago. So, as I said, I just can't sit around anymore. I'm a very passionate individual, and in terms of it coming to my daughters, it's very personal to me in terms of being able to do what I'm doing out there on the campaign trail. And I mean, I know I'm not the money leader, but the point is I have the passion, I have the message. To me, it's about the message as opposed to the money. So I'm not doing it for fame, fortune, or glory here. I'm doing it because I feel the drive to do it, and I want to be able to secure not only my daughter's freedom in the future, but my country's freedom and the freedom of all of our sons and daughters.
Well, again, I commend you for doing it because I know running a campaign, especially statewide, is an incredible commitment. So thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for the sacrifice that your family's making in doing it. Let's get into a couple of these issues that are certainly critical. This week, as you know, Obamacare is celebrating its 4th birthday, catastrophic failure nationwide. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it can be repealed?
I think it can be repealed. I mean, the House has tried 40 times, I think is what it is now, to repeal it. And then it's sent over to the Senate. And unfortunately, in the Senate, you have Harry Reid that basically refuses to even bring it to the floor. So what we need to do, the strategy we need to do is in the 2014 election, we need to keep the majority in the House. Then we need to get a majority in the Senate, take that gavel away from Harry Reid, and we can stop a lot of this stuff and push through the full repeal of Obamacare. I advocate for the full repeal of Obamacare, not the repeal and replace or repeal and fix like some of the other candidates in the race advocate for, but the full repeal of Obamacare, because Obamacare is socialism. It's not based in freedom. And we have the March 31st deadline coming up here where the president's really pushing, oh, you got to sign up. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not going to sign up for socialism. I'm not going to sign up to infringe upon my own freedom as an American. And I mean, a lot of other Americans feel the same way I do. And I mean, Obamacare, or what my team and I refer to as Merkley Care, because he voted for it. And it's evil, it's socialism, and needs to go away by full repeal. All
right, let's look at a couple of other things. A lot of people don't know that the Common Core education system is now upon us. A lot of people don't even know what it is, and even a lot of educators don't even know what they're in for. What's your thoughts on Common Core?
Oh, Common Core, that's another socialist piece of legislation that needs to go away, too. I mean, it's being pushed by the U.S. Department of Education, which is another agency that also needs to go away. But basically, a Common Core, it's liberal progressivism, basically infecting our schools. I personally have had bad experience with the Common Core myself, a couple of them, where I actually went to a parents' meeting, started talking out against Common Core. I get a call 8 days later from the superintendent of my daughter's school district saying that if I ever talk against Common Core again, I'll be removed from the room. Well, I'm a parent here, and I'm speaking out what I believe in and what I want my daughter's education to be, and I'm being threatened by the school superintendent. Another thing I'm seeing is my daughters are bringing home homework when they do bring home homework anymore, and I'm seeing things at the bottom of their homework, like their math homework, like what is the reasonable answer for a math problem. Whenever I was going to school, when you have a math problem, it's either right or it's wrong. You don't have the reasonable answer because, for one thing, the bank isn't going to care what you think the reasonable balance in your checkbook is, or the IRS isn't going to care what you think the reasonable amount of taxes are. It's either right or wrong, and that's it. So Common Core is another socialist piece of program, and that just needs to go away. And I'll fight to make it go away when I get to the U.S. Senate.
Did you expose this superintendent for threatening you for doing this?
Yes, I did. I actually went to the school board meeting. I stated it flat out at the school board meeting. Of course, at the school board meeting, at the public comment session, it's basically your 3 minutes of fame. They just roll their eyes at you and they don't do anything about it. But I also posted it on the internet too, and nothing ever came of it. She got another six-figure job at a company, I think like an education services company. And they never did anything about it. So
wow. All right, let's move on to a couple of others. Immigration, as you know, Mark, is big, and it doesn't look like anything's going to come through the House because of this election cycle. But shortly thereafter, if the Democrats are able to take over the House, you know that amnesty is going to be full throttle. What's your thought on the current immigration, and what's your thought on some kind of a policy there?
Well, what we have right now is a broken system. I mean, we have laws that are not being enforced. We have a border that's not being secured. And we have all these gang of eight pro-amnesty politicians that are pushing for amnesty, as you stated. But the point is, I mean, my plan for when I get in there in terms of fixing the immigration policy is, one, secure the border. We got to turn off the spigot here. It's no longer just an immigration issue to me. It's a national security issue. We could have potential terrorists that have come and will come through our southern border because it's unsecure. So we need to secure the border first. Next, we need to enforce existing law. Right now, existing law is not being enforced by the president or the executive that's supposed to be enforcing the laws that Congress passes. So we need to motivate him somehow to enforce existing law. And if he's not able to do it, then we need to impeach him and we need to convict him. So, and then the third thing is we need to say no to amnesty. If you're going to be here as an American, then you're going to earn the right to be here as an American. You have to stand in line just like everyone else to be an American. And if you want to actually earn your way into this country as opposed to breaking and entering.
All right. Let's look at a couple of things that are hot button. If you were sitting in the U.S. Senate, would you vote for a full-blown investigation of Benghazi?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. We need to keep those that were accountable. I mean, this stuff where Hillary Clinton goes on television and saying what difference does it make? Well, yeah, it makes a difference when 4 Americans died on your watch, Hillary Clinton. And so we have unaccountable behavior that think they could just, from people like Hillary Clinton and those under her, that think they can just get away with things and say, what difference does it make, and blow it off. Well, that's not what our country's about. Our country's about freedom. Our country's about accountability and holding those that serve us accountable instead of just letting them get a pass and say, well, what difference does it make? Well, that's not what our country's about, and Hillary Clinton and those under her need to be held accountable.
The IRS is certainly out of control. The IRS scandal and investigation continues to go on. It would appear to me that the best thing that the IRS can do is go away. However, in order for it to go away, we'd have to replace it with another tax system. What would you think that should be?
I mean, right now we have a progressive tax system. So what I would advocate for is replacing that with a flat tax or a fair tax that's been out there on the internet. People can do their own research on the flat tax or fair tax. But right now, the progressive tax system is tyranny. The progressive tax system is not fair at all. It's basically charging people, Americans, different rates for different portions of their income. Well, when you tax and tax and tax, and you have unaccountable politicians out there spending tax money, and they're overspending because we have a $17, $18 trillion debt or national deficit as well, then we need to hold them accountable. We need to hold them in check in terms of being able to spend our money. And I advocate for replacing the current progressive tax system with a flat tax or fair tax system.
Mark, the NSA is spying on U.S. citizens, and it's got a lot of people upset. Do you think this is in violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment?
Yes, I do. Basically, Americans, according to our Fourth Amendment, need to be secure, or are granted to be secure in their papers and effects. And what the NSA is doing right now is against the Fourth Amendment. So yes, I would say that the NSA does violate our Fourth Amendment by basically creating this blanket search and seizure. And it's not what our country's about. Our country's about freedom, and they're obviously not upholding freedom by doing that and violating our Fourth Amendment.
All right. Under this administration, the military continues to be cut, and yet we are in the most volatile world in the history of the world. What's your feeling about cutting the military?
Well, right now we need to be able to. I strongly support the military, as is stated in my literature. Both my parents were Navy in the 70s, and then my mother went back in as a mess cook in the 90s. So I strongly support the military. We need to be able to support the military and provide them with what they need to keep our country strong and free in terms of our own national security. So there is some. With any organization, there are some ways to make things more efficient. But in terms of military cuts, like you said, I don't think we should be cutting the military, because it basically directly affects our own national security and our own national standing in the world. So I strongly support the military. I don't think it should be cut.
All right, Mark, before we run out of time, how do people get a hold of you and support your campaign?
Well, my campaign website is at CallahanForOregon.com. That's CallahanForOregon.com. I'm also on Facebook at facebook.com/Callahan for Oregon, and then also Twitter, which is the @ symbol, and then Callahan, the number 4, and then the word Oregon.
All right, pretty busy campaign schedule between now and between now and the time the ballots come out, which is the middle of May. How many more forums do you have in front of you? Do you know yet?
Well, I know we have at least, I think, 3 coming up here. One in Multnomah County, and then one, I believe the Republican women of Central Lane County are having one at the end of April. I know Multnomah County's is on the 31st. So I have to look at my calendar. My team tries to keep my calendar up to date, and then I also post all the events I'm going to on my website, again at CallahanForOregon.com. But I could really use some. I've been traveling all over the state here, and putting a lot of miles and gas in the car, and gas isn't exactly cheap anymore. So I could use all the financial support if I could get it in terms of campaign donations.
All right. Well, folks, check it out, CallahanForOregon.com. Best to you, Mark. And again, thank you for sacrificing your time, your career, and your family's time to go out and do this. This is great, and best to you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much, Perry. I really appreciate the job you did at the candidate forum last week on the 18th, and thank you for taking the time to interview me this morning.
Oh, hi. Great. Mark Callahan. Okay, we'll be right back. Hey, have you been to Haiti? Well, somebody just returned from there and is going to give us a first-hand report of what it's like ministering there. We'll be right back.